I chair the Contracting and Technology Subcommittee, which has specific jurisdiction over the issues we're talking about here today, and it's been very illuminating to hear you put a human face and voice on some of the important issues we're talking about. Lieutenant General Farrell, I want to start with you. One of the things we talk about frequently in this committee is the disproportionate geographic allocation of federal dollars to small businesses through a variety of different programs that the Small Business Administration offers. I'm fortunate that the Rock Island Arsenal is not technically in my district, but it's right in the middle of the Mississippi River between my district and Representative Hare's district. And it served as a great economic incubator for small business development. But when we look at the rest of the country, we see large pockets where federal contracting dollars don't go, and specifically in DOD programs. So as someone who's very interested in thinking outside the box on what we can do to stimulate small business development through the SBIR program in areas of the country that don't have a major DOD installation near them, what types of creative things have you seen from members of your association, given the fact that the technology that exists today should allow small businesses to provide services and goods and compete for these federal contracts with the assistance of an SBIR program?
That's an excellent question. When you see the laydown of DOD dollars, it tends by and large to follow large programs, you know, like the B-2 program or the F-22, or shipbuilding programs tend to be scattered too, but not as scattered as airplane programs or vehicle programs. So the dollars tend to follow the large programs, and the large companies, the large primes that do this, they make an overt attempt to spread the money around the country to make sure they got support for that program. So I think that's working pretty good. However, the problem with that is that the R&D dollars that go into those large programs, they're not the SBIR kinds of things, which is what you're interested in. Those R&D dollars go to develop that particular program. They don't go to the creative ideas that come out of the phase ones. But I think if we just look at large programs, we're missing the boat, because there's lots of manufacturing around this country, you know, basic manufacturing processes that we're kind of overlooking. So if we could kind of focus some of the SBIR into the manufacturing processes, I think you'll do a lot. And if you look around the country, there's a thing up in Pittsburgh called the National Center for Defense Machining and Manufacturing. It's a not-for-profit, started with a little bit of money from Congress, but now they're getting money from industry to develop advanced manufacturing processes. And so I think you need to kind of stimulate and look at certain things like that. You got CTC up in Pennsylvania as well. And there's certain parts of the country that are kind of hotbeds for manufacturing right now. Some places in Ohio, some places in Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, and we need to stimulate that more. But the kind of money that does that is really not recognized. Like the manufacturing technology money coming out of the Department of Defense budget is very small right now. I think you need kind of a national investment program that would address some of these. If you had a national program, then you could spread it across the country.
Thank you. Mr. Boris, I want to follow up on that, because part of the materials we received was the analysis of the state-by-state distribution of federal program dollars, and I was very, very disturbed to see my state of Iowa ranked 43rd on this list, despite the fact that we've got a major research institution at the University of Iowa. We've got lots of Department of Agricultural programs in our state. And as part of the ongoing work that the academies did you focus at all on this geographic disproportionality and how we can try to look at ways of improving the program and make sure that it's actually having a positive impact throughout the country?
There was great variety across the various agencies, and some of them did a much better job of geographic outreach than others. One of the Academy's conclusions is that, it's really critically important to take programs that work to solve problems such as the geographic outreach at one agency and generalize them across the agencies to the extent possible while maintaining the laudable flexibility in the program itself. A second recommendation was to experiment. Sometimes you don't know what works until you try it. And so another recommendation was a series of pilot programs that on a small scale could test new approaches that could address, for example, Representative Clark's question about community outreach into her district. And then see if they work. And then if those pilot programs work, generalize them and spread them more widely across the program as a whole. I'm a real fan of experimenting, trying by doing, learning by doing. And greater experimentation, and then as long as you're generating the data that suggests you are performing, generalizing that and spreading the successful practices would, I think, benefit the program as a whole, including in geographic outreach.
Did you become aware of any particular agencies that were, for example, pushing the envelope in that area and trying to do a better job of geographic outreach that may have fallen outside of their traditional areas of emphasis?
The program generated so much data, I can't, without possibly misspeaking, point to specific agencies. It's somewhere in these reports, I promise you. I could recognize my fellow member, Ty Taylor here, who may, in fact, have some input on that issue.
Or what I would be happy to do is I'll have my legislative assistant contact you after the hearing, and maybe we could get some information. I want to talk to our two healthcare innovators that are here today and talk a little bit about the importance of this program. In the same vein that I've been talking about, there's a lot of healthcare facilities around this country doing research. What more do we need to be doing to make sure that there are opportunities available to people under this program in parts of the country that have the ability to participate in research and development, but maybe are not getting the same piece of the federal pie right now? Do you have any thoughts that you can share on that?
I think the first step, again, is clarity around some of these rules that have been preventing companies from getting involved in the program. Again, it takes a lot of preparation work to do so, and if your capital structure changes, you're no longer eligible, and that's a problem. So I think that's a great degree. I think a lot has to do with the agencies themselves. NIH is very aggressive across the country. Our organization represents biotechnology companies in all 50 states. So this science is, and particularly biotechnology, it's a very attractive industry. And so economic development groups across the states in every city, almost every city, is looking to bring our kind of companies in to their geographic areas. It's a very attractive industry.